Tensions of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union were extremely high in the late 1950s and early 1960s. These tensions sparked a space race between the two nations. On October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first satellite into space, named Sputnik 1. This marked the Soviet Union's first move in the space race, where both countries aimed to prove their superiority in power and technology to each other and to the rest of the world. In response to the launch of Sputnik 1, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower established NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. NASA's first project was the Mercury space program. In this program, the Americans aimed to send the first human into Earth's orbit, but they were unsuccessful, because on April 12, 1961, Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space, orbit the Earth, and return safely. Alan Shepard, about a month later, on May 5, 1961, became the first American astronaut to go into space. On September 12, 1962, then U.S. President John F. Kennedy gave a major speech about the importance of the country's space efforts. In this speech, he called for an increase in NASA's budget so that the agency could carry out its most ambitious mission yet, sending humans to the moon and bringing them safely back to Earth. What was Apollo 11? Apollo 11 was a NASA space mission during which humans walked on the moon for the first time in history. The astronauts selected for this mission were Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. The mission lasted 8 days and is considered the greatest milestone in space exploration. All members of the Apollo 11 crew were experienced astronauts who had previously traveled to space. Commander Neil Armstrong had earlier served as the pilot of the Gemini 8 mission. Gemini 8 was the first mission in which 2 spacecraft successfully docked in orbit. Armstrong was born on August 5, 1930, in Ohio, USA. At the age of 38, he became the first American citizen to command 2 space missions. Edwin Buzz Aldrin was 39 years old during Apollo 11. He was the first astronaut with a doctoral degree to fly into space. Born on January 20, 1930, in New Jersey, USA, Aldrin served as the pilot of the Gemini 12 mission in November 1966. During that mission, he conducted a 140-minute spacewalk to demonstrate that astronauts could work effectively outside the spacecraft. In Apollo 11, he was the pilot of one of the spacecraft. Michael Collins was 38 years old during the Apollo 11 mission. He was born on October 31, 1930, in Italy. In July 1966, he was the pilot of the Gemini 10 mission. In Apollo 11, he also served as the pilot of one of the 2 spacecraft. What was the purpose of this mission? Apollo 11 was a nationally significant mission for the United States. Its primary and most important objective was to send a team of astronauts to the moon and bring them back safely to Earth. Through this mission, the United States managed to defeat the Soviet Union in the space race. The astronauts of Apollo 11 lived outside Earth for 8 days, from the launch on July 16, 1969, until their return on July 24 of the same year. Nearly all aspects of the mission were broadcast live on television around the world. The mission patch. Michael Collins designed the Apollo 11 mission patch. He aimed to create an image that would clearly represent the peaceful landing of the United States on the moon. He chose the bald eagle, America's national bird, holding an olive branch in its talons. The olive branch symbolized peace. The patch features a portion of the moon with Earth in the background. From Earth to the Moon. Mission planners spent about 2 years studying the moon's surface to find the best location for this historic landing. They examined the highest quality lunar images available at the time, considering the number of craters, boulders, rocks, and hills in each area. Their goal was to identify a safe landing site based on the spacecraft's fuel limitations. After careful analysis, they narrowed down over 30 potential landing sites to just 3. Apollo 11, mounted on the Saturn V rocket, was launched on July 16, 1969. After escaping Earth's gravity, the spacecraft separated from the rocket. The spacecraft consisted of 3 main parts: the service module, the command module Columbia, and the lunar module Eagle. Once in lunar orbit, on July 20, Armstrong and Aldrin boarded the lunar module Eagle, leaving Collins alone in orbit aboard the Columbia command module. They landed on the Moon in an area known as the Sea of Tranquility, chosen for its relatively smooth surface. For the first 2 hours, Armstrong and Aldrin stayed inside the lunar module, performing system checks and eating food. After consulting with NASA, they decided to skip their planned 4-hour rest and begin their moonwalk earlier than scheduled. A video camera mounted on the spacecraft transmitted Armstrong's first steps on the Moon live to Earth. At 11:56 p.m. on July 20, 1969, as Armstrong descended the ladder, he spoke the famous words,
"That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
Armstrong described the surface of the Moon as soft and powdery, and said that walking on it was easy. Aldrin joined him about 20 minutes later, and during the 2 hours they spent walking on the Moon, Armstrong was responsible for documenting the events, so most of the photos taken are of Aldrin. While on the Moon, they conducted several experiments. They collected 23 kilograms, about 50 pounds, of lunar soil and rock samples to bring back to Earth, and planted the American flag on the Moon. They also set up a device to study solar wind particles that reach the Moon and placed retroreflector panels to help measure the precise distance between the Earth and the Moon using lasers. Additionally, they installed seismometers on the lunar surface to detect moonquakes, even after the astronauts returned to Earth. The seismometer's uplink function continued to work successfully until August 25, 1969. While its downlink function remained active until December 14, 1969. The laser ranging experiment is still operating successfully to this day. They also placed a plaque on the Moon that reads, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the Moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." Throughout the mission, they maintained constant communication with Mission Control in Houston, Texas. After spending a total of 21 hours and 38 minutes on the Moon's surface, Armstrong and Aldrin used the lunar module Eagle to return to lunar orbit and rejoin Collins aboard the command module Columbia. The Eagle successfully docked with Columbia, and the 3 astronauts began their journey back to Earth. On July 24, 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts returned to Earth, landing in the Pacific Ocean approximately 1,400 kilometers from Hawaii. Upon their return, the astronauts, and the samples they brought back, were placed in quarantine for 21 days to ensure they hadn't been exposed to any lunar pathogens. The astronauts had accomplished the goal set by President John F. Kennedy in 1961. The Lunar Sample Laboratory Facility is the primary storage site for the moon rocks brought back by Apollo 11. For safety, smaller samples are also kept at the White Sands Test Facility. Most of the samples are stored in nitrogen to prevent moisture damage. These moon rocks are only handled indirectly, using special tools to ensure preservation. Celebrations. On August 13, 1969, after the astronauts completed their quarantine, ticker tape parades were held in New York City and Chicago in their honor, attended by approximately 6 million people. That evening, a grand celebration was held in Los Angeles to commemorate the success of the historic mission. The event was attended by all members of Congress, state governors, ambassadors from 83 countries, and the Chief Justice of the United States. President Richard Nixon and his Vice President awarded the Apollo 11 astronauts the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. The astronauts also went on a 38-day world tour, visiting 22 countries and meeting with numerous world leaders, as representatives of humanity's first journey to the moon.